So whilst this is my first time teaching with the feast, the concept at the heart of it, the 40 days, has been something that has been with me since the start of my own journey and in my own teachings. That wonderful quote that what 9 months of attention does for an embryo, 40 early mornings alone will do for your gradually growing wholeness. So when I learned to meditate, and I was honored to learn directly from Deepak Chopra, who I know has been a guide or a teacher to many of you here, I will never forget, he said, give it 40 days because it takes 40 days to form a habit. And neuroscientists and research will tell you it takes somewhere between 16 and 66 days, depending on how entrenched your habits are to begin with and what it is that you're changing or learning. But there's something about that. There's a magic number of 40 days when it comes to meditation. And he said, give it the 40 days. And at the end of that, either it will be with you for life, or you'll have given it a really good go. So I had a great test because I went from the Chopra Center in California to Australia. And at the time I was a TV producer, and I made a sort of a big live show out there. And I used to play this role of the calm producer. So today is going to be about letting go of the roles that we play. So that was the biggest role that I played. Put on the outside this idea of being the calm producer, and inside anxiety and panic and all that self-doubt. And it was halfway through the 40 days that I suddenly felt a shift. I suddenly felt that this role I was projecting was reflected by a certain calmness on the inside. And so today is about letting go of all of those roles that we play. Stripping back the layers of the onion, whereby whether we are a parent or a child or a boss or a friend, and taking all those away and finding that reawakened sort of unconditioned self, finding out who we really are, that unbounded stillness. So lots of people come to meditation and they want to find something new. They want to become a different person. And I think the gift is when you realize that actually it's about finding out who you are, really. You feel you are inside. And then finding that once you find that in sort of insight of selflessness, by which not just that absence of ego, but that space where subject and object, actor and observer, the being mind and the thinking mind just dissolve into that uncovering of pure being. Comparable to seeing a great sunset or running a marathon, falling in love, being in ecstasy, or just moments that make you cry with joy. But of course, the other part of it is that we should enter meditation with no expectations. And it's about letting go. So I want to make today about letting go of the layers, of the roles, and also of all the sort of the questioning and the doubts and the questions of, I can't do this, I've got too many thoughts, I'm not good enough, all those barriers that we have. So I'm going to be giving you a bit of a mixed experience today. So whilst I originally trained in primordial sound meditation, I now combine with mindfulness, visual imagery, and breath techniques. So I hope that you will enjoy the ride. To quote the late Thich Nhat Hanh, life is available only in the present moment. So please get comfortable where you are now. Get settled in the chair or the sofa or the bed. And just move your position. Just see if there's any way you can just get yourself 10% more comfortable wherever you are. And then I like to do a little mudra. So you may have already your own practice, but if you don't, try connecting your thumb with your index finger or your middle finger, or with both. Just see what's most comfortable. And once you've made that connection, then just let your hands rest in your lap. Let it all be about comfort. And then just allow your gaze to lower or your eyes to close. And take a moment just to feel all the points of contact with your support right now. Feeling your feet on the floor or on the bed. And feeling your seat and your back. Noticing anywhere where you are holding on. And just beginning to use your exhale to release. Releasing the questions, releasing any tension. And just feeling the flow of your breath. And then for a moment, just bringing full focus to all that wants to distract you in this moment. So all the thoughts that are whirring around, just bring them into full focus. But noting them as if you are the observer, as if you're standing with a list, writing down what's there. And rather than engaging in conversation with those thoughts, just witnessing, noting, not trying to change them. And then imagine that all those thoughts and distractions are being put into a helium balloon that can just float just above your head. They're there, safely stored, for when you want to return to them at a later stage, but they're not needed right now. And of course, there'll be moments that they'll come back to distract you. But when they do, just become aware that you have been distracted, and then gently escort your attention back to the sound of my voice and the anchor that we choose. And let that anchor right now be the breath in the abdomen. Just noting the gentle expansion on the inhale and contraction as you let go. Just this breath in and this breath out. Feeling the physical expansion into the space and the release. Just aware of that movement in the abdomen. And then on the next inhale, becoming aware of the entry of the breath at the nose. Note that cool breath in and picture that breath moving all the way through your body, traveling past your organs all the way down to your toes. And imagining the reverse on the exhale, the breath shooting back up, giving energy and vitality to all that it passes and touches. Noting sensations of the flow of the breath throughout the body. The sensations on the surface of the skin through into the muscle, down to the bone. And just coming into this moment. Now we're going to take a few breaths where we naturally elongate the exhales. Normally, I would say just allow the breath to do what it does naturally, trusting that through this process, your breaths will naturally become deeper and longer. But for a few breaths, we're going to give it a little bit of help by counting our inhales and exhales. So in a moment, we're going to breathe in for a count of 3 and out for a count of 5. And breathing in and out of the nose. So let's try that now. Breathing in, 2, 3, out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In for 3, 2, 3. Out 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, in for 3, 2, 3. Out for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. This time in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In for 4, 2, 3, 4. Out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now just allowing the breath to travel as it wants to naturally. Just by centering on the breath, we bring ourselves into the present moment. Our minds are such experts in time traveling to past events, to future possibilities. But it's the breath that brings us into the now. And just by elongating those exhales, we trigger the vagus nerve, parasympathetic nervous system, allowing the body to enter the rest and digest zone. So now as we continue that journey into letting go of any barriers to finding that true self, we're going to breathe into the chakra points in the body and be aware of those points and the emotions and the senses connected with them. So starting with the root chakra, so at the base of the spine, the coccyx, and just visualizing the base of the spine. And this chakra is associated with our sense of balance, of groundedness, literally our center of gravity. And we're going to breathe 3 deep breaths into each chakra point and noticing at the same time the color that is associated with it. And you might find that the color is really bright, or perhaps it's hard to bring to mind. And that in itself can be a clue to whether this chakra is open or whether there's any blockages, any barriers here. So bringing full focus on the base of the spine and thinking the color red and breathing 3 deep breaths into this space. And now moving to the sacral chakra, to that space between navel down to pelvis. And the color here is orange, associated with our creativity, our sexual energy. And just thinking the color orange, and again, breathing 3 deep breaths. Moving up now to the solar plexus, that area beneath the rib cage. The color is golden yellow, and it's associated with our vital energy, our get up and go, our ruach, our chi. Every culture has a different name for it. But thinking of that golden yellow, almost like a belt going all the way around, golden glow, as you breathe energy into this chakra and this space. Moving now to the heart chakra, the heart center, where the color is green, and this is our compassion, our ability to give and to receive love. Thinking green, breathing into this space. And now we move to the throat chakra. The color is blue, and this is where we look at how our communication reflects the thoughts in the mind. How clear is that means of communication, that line of communication? So thinking the color blue and visualizing the throat space as you breathe deeply into it 3 times. And now as we almost complete that rainbow of attention, moving up the body, we move up to the space between the brows, the third eye, the seat of intuition. And some would say the easiest part of the body to bring focus to, so known as Pythagoras space, because that was how Pythagoras learnt to meditate, was just to focus on the space between the brows. So bringing your focus there and bringing into mind the color indigo, that purpley blue, and the sense of intuition, your own spirituality, your insight and empathy. And now to the crown of the head, where the color is violet. And this is our consciousness, our pure awareness, our seat of connection. Breathing as if the light is shining down on the crown of your head like a spotlight, feeling the light and feeling your own breath, energizing breath and clearing breath. And now we're at the crown of the head. I'm going to spend a few moments just focusing, scanning on different body parts. And remembering that if you're feeling that sense of distraction, as we always do, whether it's thoughts in that helium balloon at the top of the head, or whether it's sensations around the body, or whether it's sounds around you, reminding yourself that this is part of the process. As Mark Williams, who co-founded, many of you will know, mindfulness-based stress reduction, says that a meditation without thoughts is like a gym without equipment. Doesn't work without moving from distraction to awareness and back again. But we know that each time we move back, each time we let go of that distraction, we're just building our mindful muscle every time. So at the top of the head, imagining like a whale, that the breath is coming in through a little hole on the top of your head. And feeling that breath going in through the top of your head and down to your waist. And then as you exhale, imagining that breath going back up again. Like a wave of clarity, of energy. And now moving your focus to the feet and noticing all the sensations here, sensations in the soles of your feet and sensations in the toes. Just seeing if you can distinguish between sensations in your big toes and your little toes and those in between. It might feel tingling or vibrating. Maybe there's discomfort or even numbness. There's no right or wrong way to feel, but just noting what's here. Using the sensation in itself as an anchor for your focus. And now widening so that you're looking at the sensations in the whole of the foot, the sole, the toes, the tops of the feet, moving up to the ankles. And now imagining that wave of breath the opposite way. So this time the breath is coming in through your toes and moving up your legs all the way up to your waist. And then as you breathe out, imagining you're letting go, going the opposite direction, and the breath is going out from your toes. So from toes to waist and waist to toes. And at the same time, you're breathing in a new moment, a new possibility, and exhaling anything that is not serving you right now, anything that is holding you back in this moment. And now allowing your awareness to move wherever now you feel the breath most clearly. Perhaps it's back to the nose, that cool breath in and warm breath out. Or maybe it's at the back of the throat. Perhaps the rise and fall of the chest, or expansion and contraction of the belly. Just noting where it's clearest for you and watching the next few cycles of breath from the moment of the first inhale to that pause where everything is possible at the peak, through to the release, and that momentary pause again before it's repeated. And now slowly letting go of your breath and coming back to the space, the physical space where you began, feeling once again your contact with your support, feeling the planting of the feet, feeling the holding of your back, your torso, your seat. And just using your senses to bring you back into this space, noticing the smells on your inhales, noting the taste in your mouth, whether it's food or just saliva. Noticing the sounds inside and around you. And noticing how much you can see even with your eyes closed or gaze lowered. And before we come back and open our eyes, a thought from the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, because this concept of letting go has been something that man, women, all have been thinking about for so long. He said, no man ever steps into the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man. And of course, as meditators, we know that we are both the man or the woman. We are the river, but most importantly, we are the flow of that river and the flow that allows us to let go. So now gently, softly, in your own time, open your eyes.